to the Work Wonders podcast, brought to you by Asta HR, where we simplify the human side of business. I'm Angela.
And I'm Susan. Let's dive into today's episode and find out what you've been wondering about.
In today's episode, we're going to try and address an issue we hear more and more people asking about. Now that lockdowns are over and a thing of the past, some people think that we should go back to how everything was before the pandemic. Back to offices, back to Monday to Friday. But what about you? Do you think the same way? Let's find out the pros and the cons. This is the Work Wonders podcast. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Angela.
So, lockdowns are a thing of the past?
They are.
It's all a bit of a blur, but it is back there somewhere.
Yes, all those years. Came across someone the other day who gave a great rundown of the evolution of basically working from the office and working from home from the perspective of what employers are saying.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
So let's go back to 2020.
Okay.
Employers are saying, we want to keep you safe.
Yes.
So whatever you need to do to be productive working from home, new technologies, we'll have the daily check-ins, you can work the hours that you like that fit around your family.
Yep.
All that, yes, that's all up for grabs. We'll even give you money to buy equipment to work from home. So that was 2020.
Whatever we need to get by.
That's right. 2021, companies going, this is great.
Who knew?
We've been more productive than ever and we're happy for people to continue working from home. The world's changing. We want to keep up and, we're changing as well in the way we do things. And some even went as far as saying, well, forget work from home, work from wherever you like.
True. Yeah, okay.
It's a work from anywhere situation. Then, according to Corporate Sween, the person I'm quoting here, 2022, work from anywhere, not working. Okay,
right.
So you've got things about, I don't actually get to see you. You're in a different time zone. Fine that you're working from a Greek island, but it doesn't seem to work for us. So company says, we're going to go for a hybrid model now. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to be hybrid work from home. You're expected to be in the office 1 to 3 days a week, depending on your job. You can work from home some of the time, and some of the time come into the office. So this is our hybrid model.
Okay.
The thing we've noticed in 2023, though, is you might have organisations go, well, we've got a beautiful new office space. We got that already during the last 2 years, when there weren't people in the way. And now we've got this space. We need the people to come in and fill it. So we'd like you to be here all the time.
Come back.
Yeah, 5 days a week. Normal hours, face-to-face in the office.
And that's a bit of a shock to the system 3 years down the track, isn't it?
I think so, and I also think that it means that 2024 is going to be very interesting to see what happens then in the evolution. Maybe we'll all be replaced by AI, so it won't matter.
True. And look, I don't think it's just employers that are putting the focus on we've got these offices and we need them filled. It's also landlords and people that are seeing, like even in our CBD in Sydney, there's been a lot of attention around vacant buildings.
Yeah, correct.
And, why are they there? Why are they not being used and that sort of thing? So.
And we love our real estate in Australia, don't we? So if you can't make money out of it, bit of a worry.
It does make you think what we need an office for then, doesn't it?
Yeah. And also, why are we wanting people to come into the office?
Yeah. Well, I've heard it said that, I don't know whether it fits in your timeline in 2022 or 2023, but some people are using that time when everybody comes back into the office, not so much as a productive, right, head down, bum up, let's do a team meeting and get strategy happening, more as let's have some time together, let's get to know each other again, let's enjoy the social aspect of being in the same room. As each other. So it does really start to make you think, if you're going to only use a portion of that time in the office, what is it for?
That's an excellent question. I think it's going to depend on the organisation and the roles of the people. But I do think a lot of those business meeting type meetings are probably more efficient if they're done remotely. What do you think?
Less distraction. I mean, Yeah, I think so.
Less of the social chit-chat, let's get on with it.
True.
Whereas it's a social chit-chat that you want to sort of make teams cohesive and help your culture.
Yeah. I think it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? There's a need for both in-person presence and definitely a lot more things, not just your meetings, but other tasks as well can be done quite well from a remote location. But I think there's always going to be that need for the personal interaction, isn't there?
Yeah. Remember during lockdown, we had a lot of people who started new jobs without actually meeting their teammates.
Isn't that strange? Imagine doing that.
Yeah.
That'd be a really interesting way to be introduced to a job and a team.
And it kind of, from what I've heard from different people, it sort of limited their view of the organisation as well, because they might still be having meetings over Teams or Zoom or whatever with their supervisor or their team, but there weren't those casual interactions that you get in the kitchen and the water cooler gossip type thing. Yeah. They're all part of becoming integrated within an organisation, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, even as a society, we craved that interaction with our own families and our friends. And, we noticed it when we were locked in our own homes. So we're no different in the workplace. We're all still human. And wanting
some of us need less connection than others, though.
True.
I quite like lockdown.
True. That's funny. Yeah, but I think something magic that happens in person that you just can't quite do online. Yeah.
And you can kind of pick up, that's the person to go to for such and such, which may not even be a formal role of that person. But, for example, Sally has been here for a long time. She knows how things work around here.
Yes.
So she seems to be the one that people ask about, where do I find this or how do I do that?
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't necessarily pick up and be able to do efficiently if you're not in the same space.
And there's that old chestnut of communication that we seem to bring into almost every episode. And that, I don't know what the stat is it 90% or something of communication is nonverbal. And so when you look at that from a perspective of having an online meeting, you might get a facial expression every now and then, not if you're looking at a slide. You're certainly hearing a voice, but there's so much that you're missing that I think just inherently you get when you're physically in front of a person. You sense their energy, you sense their facial expression, their, a lot more.
You mean when we're meeting online, Angela, you can't tell that I'm fidgeting under the desk or?
No, you hide it well, Sis. Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on, but it's something different when you're, we love our days in the studio because we carry on and giggle and love spending time together. Not that we don't get work done online as well, but yeah, it's just different.
How did you get into your business? Sometimes it's because you're great at a particular thing or you've got a passion for something and you know that you can do it a little better than what other people are already doing. Now that you're in business, you've discovered there's a lot more to it than just having the right skills, especially when you've hired a team. You might have learnt the financial skills that you need because you've had to, basically, but where do you go to develop the HR and the leadership skills that you need? If you're feeling overwhelmed in managing people and all the other things that come with running a business, we can help you. We'll guide you through the skills you need to feel more confident in leadership. Go and check out the coaching page on our website or schedule a call with us at asterhr.com.au. Now it's back to the episode. So we've talked, there are all reasons for bringing people into the office. Why would you want to continue with a hybrid model or having people working from home?
Like you said, I think it comes down to what work is being performed and what sort of outcomes you're looking for. And if there is tasks that can quite productively be done from home or remotely, let's say, why not? I think it's good for flexibility. Staff are certainly looking for it. We know that.
We do, yeah. When we look at how things have changed on the recruitment perspective and people are just outright asking, is this hybrid?
Yeah.
If I don't get to work from home, then I'm not interested.
Yeah. In fact, it's almost assumed.
It is.
In some cases.
True.
Yeah, I'd definitely be encouraging businesses to think about that if it's going to work for you and design it in such a way so that those jobs that can be done with very clear outcomes and timeframes or whatnot, something that's easier to measure perhaps, might be an easier thing to slot into remote work.
I'm wondering, though, in reasonable sized organisations, say 10 or more, you'll have some roles that, can obviously be worked from home, possibly full time, and others that just can't. How do you keep that fair, and how do you make people understand that you can't have the same rule across the board? Like, you can't say, well, everyone work from home 3 days a week if you're running a factory.
No, no. Look, I think it comes down to your culture. So if it's known that you're a hybrid workplace because that is the best way to do things and that's a way to offer flexibility, it really comes down to each individual person, what's right between you and that person. I mean, easier said than done, but if you've got a culture that is quite accepting of what everybody needs to do and willing to listen to those things and be flexible, it's not going to look the same for everybody. And I think if you've got the right people, they should be on board with that. Like I say, easier said than done.
So it's about being transparent.
Yeah.
And part of that transparency is having some guardrails in place so that it doesn't look like, oh, she's the favourite, she gets this, or I mean, it's pretty hard to say that actually, because some people would think it favouritism if they were in the office all the time. Some people actually do like to do that. So, having a policy for starters, which gives a criteria, if you can, about how you make those decisions, what those decisions are based on.
I was just going to say that managing people in a hybrid workplace, so that is people remotely and people in the office, it takes a lot more intention and purpose, as we've discussed in previous episodes. It's not that easy. Allowing people to work from home sounds like a nice thing to do, and look, they get to stay in their slippers or whatever they want to do. But it's not that simple, is it? You've got to teach people how to switch off. You've got to look after their work health and safety and all those things as well, confidentiality, so much to consider. So it's not just as easy as, oh, look, on Fridays you can just, do as you please and fit in your hours whenever you want to because you're working from home.
So it's actually a whole new skill set for managers. And we've covered that in previous episodes. In Season 2, Episode 7 was managing remote workers. So we'll put a link to that in the show note.
Well, look, there's obviously that trend. It doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere, that remote work or hybrid work, whatever you want to call it, like we said, job seekers or candidates are looking for it when they're looking for a new job, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere, do you?
No. I'm just looking at my daughter's generation and I'm thinking, no. Because if you think about it, a lot of them, younger people came into the workforce during lockdown, their first jobs were during lockdown. So they started their careers working remotely. Might have got to like that, might be expecting that to continue. Yeah. So it's where the talent is and the talent that you need for your organisation. But as I said, conversely, some people prefer to have that. I'm in the office or wherever, or I'm at home, and never the two shall meet. They're two separate things.
And that's another nuance that, like you say, is a new skill set in management to look for, leadership to look at, is how do you cater to a person that's different to another person and wants a different need,
It'd be nice if they were all robots or we had a cookie cutter and everything was the same for every person, but life's not that simple. So whether you've got people coming into the office full-time or managing them remotely or a mixture of both, there are certain things in common that are essential to managing people. So the first of those would be looking at what outcomes are you getting rather than not just the time that people are present or logged on or, in the office.
Yes, it's easy to think, oh, good, they worked from 9 till 3. So that's, 5.5, 6 hours, whatever it is. That's one way of looking at it. But did they actually send 5 emails and answer 3 phone calls and go to 2 meetings or whatever it is that they were asked to do that day? Look at it from that perspective is a different way. Like you're saying, something more measurable, tangible that you're looking for.
What outcomes were they getting? Another aspect when this applies across all workplaces is trust.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's useful to ask yourself if you're expecting people in the office full time, Is that because you believe they'll be more productive, more effective, or is it behind that a bit of a sense that you can't trust them?
Yeah. Or is it your own skill set that you're feeling a little unsure how to manage someone remotely? It's very different. And that perspective, like I said, of looking at the outcome rather than the hours in a day, that's a very different perspective to look from. It's going to take a skill set there to look at it differently and analyse it differently and also set those objectives.
That's what I was going to say. Okay, so then finally you mentioned communication.
Yes. Look, I think with remote workers, you need to be very clear, if not more clear, do you think, when it comes to things that you're expecting or ways that they'll be working?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I was just thinking that sometimes you could say, well, communication is probably easier because you're going to have it all in writing and you're going to be able to check for understanding, whereas it's not. You know, we've all been in that situation where someone said to you, oh, can you do this, this and this, and you go off and do what you think you are asked to do. Whoops. But I guess that can happen in writing as well.
Yeah.
But, it's all a two-way street, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a new way. And look, when I say it's a new way, I mean we've been doing it for a while, like you said in the beginning.
It's not new anymore, Angela.
Not new. But in terms of leadership, it's a different way of leading, and especially when you get to a hybrid workplace, you're not just doing it in the traditional way, if you like, but also this new way because you've got both types of employees, both types of workplaces. Yeah. There's a lot of balls to keep in the air.
It is. So say I've decided I don't want to be keeping all those balls in the air. I'm paying good rental for this property full of empty desks. I want people to be back in the office. Okay. So can you give me some tips on how I'm going to entice them to be back in the office?
Well, there's some really practical things like making the space really comfortable and appealing, having, lots of natural light and resources that they need to do their job well. There's probably a lot of creature comforts when you're working from home, but introducing what you can into the workplace to make it a nice space to work in is one thing you can do.
Yeah. Pets?
Oh, why not? A pet bird?
That's one of the best parts of working at home. Having the pup under the desk. Except when he starts barking at the wrong time.
Well, there's a take your dog to work day, so there you go. You could celebrate that.
So I think as well as making it physically attractive and having all the creature comforts that you can provide, you need to give your staff a reason, like a purpose, why it's essential, because basically you need to have your arguments ready because people are going to be asking. Well,
like you said, we got comfortable, and somewhere along the way, majority, I'm going to say, a lot of people were sort of thinking, this is working, this is good. We can actually do this, this remote work thing. So the argument of, I don't know whether it'll work is kind of thrown out the window. We know that it can work if you have to.
Well, that's true.
So, I agree with you. You have to be very transparent, more than just, we want you here.
Yeah, that doesn't always go down well, does it?
No. More than just we're paying rent, so we need to. I think you have to be really transparent, like you said, and go, well, look, for A, B, and C reason, we think it's best that we're all here collaborating together to get A, B, and C project done, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's more likely to get buy-in from people.
And hey, look, we've got Tim Tams.
Oh, Tim Tams are always a good option. And good coffee.
Yeah, you have to have the coffee with the Tim Tams, that's for sure.
And then also encouraging that social interaction as well. So why not use that time when you're in the offices together to have that social interaction and celebrate that in a different way rather than trying to do it remotely?
So I think we've pretty much covered all the ins and outs of having people in person in the office.
So decide whether it is a particular amount of numbers of days a week that work for you to bring everybody in, or whether it is all the time, bring them back full time now. And just be open and encourage your team with what's sitting behind that, what's your reason for doing that. Bring them into that space and make them feel welcome and all those things we talked about to make it enjoyable for everyone and a really productive way to work.
And communicate.
Yes. Thanks for listening to the Work Wonders podcast, brought to you by Asta HR. Hit the subscribe button now to never miss an episode. And if you'd like to continue the conversation with us, you can find us over at astahr.com.au. See you in the next episode.